played with Coach Harbaugh back in the day.
Oh, you did? Wow.
All right. Hey, welcome in to the TMBR postgame. You can tell we are ready to go. That is CJ Baird on the bottom of the screen. And we have Jim Scarcelli, who's doing double duty today. He was on the postgame after the Michigan football win. We get a basketball win tonight, guys. The Wolverines never trailed in this one. They opened up to a 8-0 lead. They're up by 19 at the half, and they go on to a 77-49 win. Let's just get our impressions here out of the gate. CJ, we'll start with you. Michigan moves to 2-0, and they go out to Washington, and they win this one with a homecoming for Terrence Williams, Hunter Dickinson, and we'll throw Juwan Howard in there too, because the back then the Bullets, the Wizards, drafted him, so it was a sort of homecoming for Juwan as well.
Yeah, and like you said, I think it was cool to see those guys go back and play in front of their friends and family. That's always something special, and that's one of the reasons I loved playing at Michigan is my friends and family are from around here. So I know those guys were fired up, and I think it was just really impressive to see how the way they played, especially early on, Hunter Dickinson. I mean, you know the emotion that comes with playing in front of your friends and family. You want to play really well, and right away they started feeding him the ball. They were looking to get him easy baskets. And actually, I was really impressed with the way they got, like where he got the ball. He got the ball in the middle of the paint. He was posted up a lot. I don't know if you guys saw. He's standing there in the middle of the paint, big hands, and they're throwing him the ball down there every time. They set some screens for him. And we're really trying to get him involved early. And as the game went on, you saw the transition game. I think that was really impressive. Prairie View A&M had a lot of bad turnovers that Michigan forced him into, and hit a lot of good threes, had a lot of good hit-aheads, and I think Devontae Jones and Eli Brooks really facilitated well from those positions. And I'm sure, Jim, I'm sure you saw some other stuff in there that was interesting, but that really caught my eye, especially in the first half.
Yeah, hey, anytime you go on the road, CJ, it's always good to get more experience playing on the road. So, it was a great win on the road. We saw some different things. We saw a matchup zone, which is good to see. You want to see different stuff to get your team ready. We ran a little bit of zone, got to work on that kind of stuff. But I give a lot of credit to Prairie View. Those kids played hard. They were a little outmanned, outgunned, but there was no quitting those guys. But how about Big Hunter making that three? So anytime we can get that in his game, it was good to see Houston have so much success at the three-point line. Because we got Brooks, we got Houston, we got to find that third guy that can give us that outside threat. But it was I really was happy to see. I had an initial impression about Caleb Houston. I didn't know that he was going to be quite the defender, but he looked really quick tonight. His feet look a lot quicker, and Diabate's going to be something special. I think he's going to challenge Johns for a lot of playing time because he's a rim protector. He's an athletic kid. But good to see Eli Brooks getting that three-shot going, and a lot of good things happening tonight.
Yeah, first career three for Hunter Dickinson. He hoisted up 4 last year, and that was something that they talked about, that he might expand a little bit his range, and he knocked down that first one. And Michigan went with the same starting lineup in this one, although when they threw up the starting lineup, they had Terrence Williams in there, which wouldn't have been a huge surprise because he played so well in the opener, and they were going back home. But, to the rotation point, CJ, I think Jim makes a good – it's – as from a coaching standpoint, I think a player standpoint too, it's a good problem to have when you got people saying, hey, maybe Diabate should be starting. Hey, Wise Nunez going to be the first guy coming off the bench. Is this is this something with the rotation and anything else? So these are good things to sort out when you have some games that aren't so tight. You got the guys that can compete actually in a game situation rather than fighting it out in practice. What do you think?
Yeah, and that's a great point you make. That's the reason I was really excited to watch this game tonight, was to see how the rotations worked out. I think Coach Howard's still looking for the right lineups out there. He tried actually a couple different ones. He tried early in the Buffalo game, he tried Diabate at the 4. This week he had Diabate more at the 5. He had him with Johns on the floor, Terrence Williams on the floor. And I think he's trying to figure out what guys are going to complement each other the best. And like you said, it's a good problem to have when you got Diabate, you got Terrence Williams. And I think Coach, like Jim pointed out too, you have guys like Eli Brooks and Caleb Houston that are consistent three-point threats. He put Adrian Nunez in there today early on to he's trying to get his feet wet. He wants Adrian to build that confidence, become that catch and shoot threat that Michigan so desperately needs. They need that third option on the outside. Something I actually put out on Twitter today is Prairie View A&M was completely – Devontae Jones played a great game, But on the perimeter, they were completely disregarding him. They were letting him get his shots. He made 1-3 when they went under the screen. But I think that's something that's going to be interesting to see as the year goes on. We need to have some shooting out there to keep the spacing. And Devontae Jones seems willing to take the shot, but need to build some consistency there.
Yeah, he's got to get confidence. He's got to get. He's a heck of a defender, and he's just got to. They just got to play together more, is the way I'm seeing it. But he's definitely a tough kid. He showed that he could finish at the rim tonight, which was good to see. Let me ask you this, CJ. I played high school, coached many years, and one of the toughest things for me was teaching defense more so than offense. I thought our game against Buffalo, defensively, there was a lot of mistakes. A lot of the young guys made mistakes. You played college basketball. Did you see that teaching defense at that level was tougher than teaching offense?
Absolutely. And that's such a good point you made too. I think defense, when you're a star coming out of high school, I think it's really tough to adjust your game. A lot of these kids are playing the full game. They're trying to save themselves to get the big buckets on offense because they're in isolation scoring situations. They're the ones that are relied on offensively down the road. And now you see guys like, especially Kobe Buffkin, who comes into the game today. And actually he impressed me, especially on his ball screen defense. A lot of these kids need to learn mostly about defensive positioning, and especially help defense. I think the hardest thing to teach is where you're supposed to be at what time. And I think Coach Howard has been emphasizing pretty well is their ball screen defense. I really saw a great improvement tonight on where the bigs were and how they were keeping the ball on the sides. So if people that are familiar with the terminology, the one thing that Michigan does well is they keep ball screen players on the sidelines, and that's called icing a ball screen. So you kind of jump to the top shoulder of the guy dribbling the ball, and you keep him over there. It's so much easier said than done, and there's a lot of technique that goes into teaching that. And in the first game against Buffalo, like you said, there's a lot of holes, and a lot of younger guys didn't seem to get that right away. And I know Coach Howard drilled that with them this week, and it'll be interesting to see how it goes throughout the year. But I think these younger guys need to build some more awareness.
Yeah, because our rotations, when you're screening, the rotations seemed out of whack against Buffalo, and they were a lot better. Even though we didn't have the competition, but they just seemed a lot tighter on the rotations and switching, and we're going to have to do better. We got to get better at that.
Yeah, let me ask you guys about some specific players. You both mentioned a guy, and I want to just ask a little bit more. First, we will start with Kobe Buffkin. CJ, you said he impressed you. I wrote some things down. He had a nice drive. He's got a smooth game. He's a lefty. He's got a little bit of size to him at 6'4". It wasn't an open layup. He kind of went diagonally, cut through, and made it look nice and smooth there. And then that outside J that he has, he's sticking him. You watch him shoot, and, that looks like something that could be a weapon for him. What did you think about the freshman Buffkin?
Yeah, so, Kobe, he came in the first half, and I think he seemed a little uncomfortable with this lineup. But as the game went on, I think people, the more he played, the more confidence he had. And like you said, seeing that drive was the most impressive part. His jump shot looks good. The form is there. So the shot's going to go in when he builds more confidence. But that drive really stood out to me, and I'm glad you pointed that out because that was something I was going to say. He actually made a very veteran move. He drove to the lane, really contested, and landed on two. And that's something that Coach Beeline loves saying. You take a jump stop and you stop there, and you have all the options in the world. So by doing that, he wasn't going in there out of control. A lot of freshmen go in there and just throw up a shot, hoping they're going to get fouled, or they expect that they're athletic enough to go and finish. Kobe Buffkin, while he's big and he's athletic, he uses fundamentals and got a good step on his defender. And that definitely, seeing that go through, opened up the jump shot for him. So I'll be interested to see how Michigan utilizes him throughout the year, if he'll be an off-ball or on-ball player. But that drive really impressed me, and that really is making me hopeful for him getting some more minutes down the line.
Yeah, Jim, and you mentioned Caleb Houston a little bit earlier. Both of you guys, I didn't hear what CJ had to say about Houston here, but Jim, he's somebody where when he shoots, it looks effortless, which is a good thing. There's not a lot of wasted movement there. I think John Beeline would probably like, that jumper and what it looks like. And he's also equally smooth when he just drives. He I like that when somebody looks like they're letting the game come to him. There's driving, doesn't look out of control. Next thing you know, it's going in. and he reclassified, should be a high school senior right now. So, I mean, this is a young buck out there, Jim, and you saw what you saw from him tonight. What did you think?
Yeah, I saw a little more athleticism. I saw him play defense and just seeing him move his feet a lot quicker than what I thought the other night. And just like you said, I saw him finish at the rim strong, and that was nice to see. And he just looked better on defense. But I said the other day that I don't know that if we have any one and dones, but taking a closer look at him and Diabate, I don't know. Those guys are both outstanding players, and you'd like to think they'd be around, but every game they're going to improve. Now, CJ, I told Denny the other day that as a football player, every game repetition, every play you play in a game is probably worth 100 repetitions on State Street in a scrimmage. Now, as a basketball player, a minute in a game is worth how many minutes at Chrysler Arena scrimmage?
Wow. See, that's really good. It's a really good point to think about. I think a lot of people, we undervalue, like guys like Frankie Collins will not shoot the three in the game. And in practice, I actually saw him a couple nights ago and he's hitting threes in scrimmages and stuff like that. Wow. I'd say 1 minute in game is probably equivalent to 25 minutes of scrimmaging, maybe 50. I can go that high. I think the scrimmaging, especially in basketball, there's a lot. You're always on. I mean, there's 5 guys on the floor. You're going to get a lot more action because you're always one of those 5 guys. But when you're in the game, it's just totally different. There's crowd noise. There's pressure being out there in the first place, and there's different expectations when you have more eyes on you. So getting that in-game experience, like for these young guys like Caleb Houston and Musa Diabate, Kobe Buffkin, like you said, it's going to translate. They're going to be more comfortable in their scrimmages, and they're going to be way more comfortable as the season goes on.
Yeah, I want to see them take free throws now. I want these free throw shots now before we get into the Big Ten. I want as much as we can. You know how important that is to make free throws in a game. It's a whole nother deal.
Yes, Gar, I was going to ask about the free throws here. That's something, and it's not nitpicking. There's 2 items that you would look at, the turnovers. They had 10 in the first half, 10 in the second half, and then shooting 53% from the free throw line. Obviously, that's something that they're going to want to improve on. But 2 of the guys, Hunter Dickinson last year shot 73% from the line. And if you look, I've had to double back at least 3 times because Devontae Jones, the first game, somebody's like, he can't shoot free throws. I don't like his mechanics. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, guy shot 86% last year at Coastal Carolina. And then I'm like, well, what did he shoot for his career? 85%. So, but then he wasn't shooting well. I don't know. So I said I'm not going to be concerned in November about 2 guys that have a proven track record on the free throw line. I wonder what you think about that. And then the turnovers. I don't know. Is there a number that you're looking at as a team that you want to? Single digit sounds like it would be good, but do you have a number there, CJ, that you look at? 20 is too much.
20 is ridiculous. And I think to the point about free throws, I think free throws will come with time. Like you said, Jim said earlier, you want to see those free throws going in November. You want to build that confidence, get that game translation. I think that'll come with time. I know a lot of Michigan teams in the past have had some free throw issues early on. I think Coach Howard's drilling it, and they'll be fine on free throws. I actually am not too concerned about that for the long term. Once they get more adjusted with fans being in there, because it is different shooting with fans around. That's something that'll be fine. But the turnovers that really concerned me overall. I don't know if
CJ, also that turnovers is playing with a guy. The more you play with the guy, you get a feel for where he wants the ball, when he's going to give you the ball, and everybody's different. That takes repetition. That takes time. They haven't been together all that long, but I would just playing together, the turnover should come down.
Absolutely. And like you said, like it's getting that game experience with the different lineups and stuff like that. There were a couple things tonight that I think Michigan will need to work on in the future. Usually from what I would know, the best turnover teams in the country are usually Wisconsin. Wisconsin's usually the best team that has the least amount of free throws per year, or not free throws, I'm sorry, turnovers. And that's around 9 turnovers per game. They play at an incredibly slow pace and they're very methodical. So I'd say it's very unrealistic as a Michigan goal. I think they should aim for around 12 turnovers a game because they play with a lot more tempo than we used to. Because even the Coach Bewine's teams play with less tempo and they had less turnovers. But Coach Howard's fast-paced offense, the way they move the ball up the floor, you need to make sure you pick your battles. You can't be like Eli Brooks had a pass today. It's very rare to see him make a mistake like this. On a fast break, he just threw the ball ahead, not knowing there's like 3 defenders there, just hoping Musa Diabate would catch the ball. Like stuff like that's very avoidable, and you can play with tempo. You just have to be careful. And I know Michigan State has this problem a lot. They're known to be plagued with turnovers, even in the era with Cassius Winston. Those guys that were really good point guards, they will throw passes, they'll force it because they're playing so fast. Michigan needs to figure out what tempo they can play at without giving away shots that they should be getting.
All right, I got 2 quick hitters for you guys. One is about the future schedule here coming up next week. Got a Big East showdown with Seton Hall at the Chrysler Center. Big East preseason poll had Seton Hall kind of in the middle of the pack, and then a late night game against UNLV. Mountain West, I believe, the Running Rebels, they were picked in the lower half of the Mountain West, and then there's Arizona, I think, in Wichita State are on the other side of that little mini tournament there. So next week, these are 2 nice games. I mean, these are, I would say, losable games, but you're playing certainly a known historic team in the Running Rebels, and it is going to be out in Vegas in the desert. So, and you're playing late, and then Seton Hall, of course, a rematch of the '89 championship game. I'll go with you, CJ, first. What about that schedule next week?
Yeah, so something about Big East teams that I mean, my sister actually went to Butler, which is in the Big East now, and I've actually watched a lot of Big East basketball over the years, and I actually watched Villanova play last night. The conference is really special because they present different challenges. So they have a lot of small big men. And this is something that Seton Hall hasn't had. They had some pretty big guys last few years, but the Big East is known to have small big men and pretty mobile guys as well, which will be interesting to see how Hunter Dickinson guards those guys and how they decide to guard him in the ball screen. Because while Hunter has some immense size, these Big East bigs are very mobile. They can move well. Some of them can shoot pretty well, and they're generally very athletic because they're a little bit smaller. So I'll be interested to see that, and in particular that game. I honestly don't know as much about UNLV, but Seton Hall will be a very good test. Even though they're middle of the pack Big East, it's still a great conference, and Seton Hall will bring it to them on next game.
Yeah, I watched Seton Hall the other night just to get that scouting report. And they got a bunch of transfers in. They look big, thick, athletic kids. They didn't seem to have a lot of great shooters, but they were big, thick, strong, athletic guys. Played pretty good defense. And anytime you go 2,000 miles and you're at a different gym, they're going to have home fans. They're going out to Vegas. So, but it'll be a good challenge for us, and get acclimated to being on that airplane and making those wrong. You know how it is, CJ. You got to get acclimated to that hotel and that whole routine, and those freshmen are going to eat that up and benefit from it.
Yeah, you can't be out at the casino, throwing dice or anything. You got to concentrate on Vegas. I wanted to ask
Denny, speaking of the casino, I had a couple dollars on Air Force. I was going to tell you that was the lock of the night, man. Anyway, that's a whole nother story.
I'll tell you what, I wish I had a couple dollars on Villanova last night. That might have been the game of the year. That was awesome. I just saw the highlights. I mean, you must stand up till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, CJ, but that's probably to get you ready for next week. You're just acclimating your body, which I like. That's impressive. Well, tonight back on the East Coast in Washington, in D.C., it was the inaugural Coaches versus Racism, and Prairie View A&M, they're out of the Southwestern Athletic Conference, but the message in this game, they were bridging the racial divide through sports. This game raised money for the historically black colleges and universities, the HBCU. And I wondered if you guys each wanted to, say something here about what sports can do and how it can, the diversity of sports and how you get to know the person next to you and in a team setting, and just what the value is for that. And in our country, it's a big question, but it's one of these things with what was going on over the last 2 years here. I think it's just a good message, and this is something moving forward to get that dialogue going. Let's start with CJ there. Just some general thoughts there when you hear all of that.
Yeah, so actually, when I was on the team in 2020, I actually was exposed to more things and learned a lot more about like things that people of color go through. In particular, one of the things that sports has done for me is it's really exposed me to different cultures and different people. In particular, I'd like to shout out a walk-on from last year that graduated as well. His name's Rico Zuna Harrison. He's from Detroit, Michigan, from the inner city area. And I'm from Novi, Michigan, which is not really exposed to that. And I've definitely had some different experiences growing up. But once we both got in the gym, it was kind of like all of that went away. All of those differences, our environments growing up went away. And he's one of my best friends. This kid really taught me a lot about what it's like to grow up in the city. He's shown me what it means to work hard, and he's shown me what like basketball can do. It's brought people that have completely different backgrounds, completely different future goals as well, but both want to succeed, and both of us worked really hard at what we did. And I'm really grateful to those people, especially at Michigan, that have taught me so much about what it means to be a student athlete here and what it means to really be an inclusive person. And I think it'll carry those lessons the rest of my life.
Yeah, you know, guys, I grew up in Warren, Michigan. My high school was all white. Okay, so I went to Michigan now, and now here I am with the Detroit guys. A lot of my buddies were Detroit guys, and they didn't go to school with any white kids. So it was different. It's a feeling out process, and eventually, though, when you go through the grind that we went through together, how difficult it was, how demanding it was, you just eventually learn to trust each other, and become great teammates. And I played for Bo Schembechler, and boy, he got after everybody the same and challenged everybody and got in the face of everybody. And, so it was consistent there. And, I was a teacher and coach for a long time. And I got in trouble one time at Michigan. Okay, I'll be honest. I did something stupid. And I never forget what Coach Moeller told me. He says, he disciplined me, punished me. He said, if I let you get away with this, I'm cheating you. And I never forgot that as a coach. So anytime I had a kid that did something wrong, did something stupid, something he wasn't supposed to do, you can't be afraid to get in their face. And I didn't care what his background was. You got to get in after him and not be afraid of any ramifications if you get in the face of a black kid, a white kid, wherever. So, yeah. And let me just say this too, CJ. I think this is overrated. The concept that sports teaches you these things, if you don't have the right leader teaching you, coaching your team, it can be sports, it can be the drama club, it can be the band. You can still learn those great values in different environments. But if you have the wrong leader that allows the wrong things to happen, I don't care what the environment is, it can be a bad thing. So I kind of question that logic, when people say, sports teach, well, you got to have the right leader coaching that team. Like you played for John Beeline, and you know what values Coach had, you know what I mean? So, and there are some coaches that aren't going to enforce the great values that you were able to learn. So I guess that's the point I'm trying to make, Denny.
I think you guys both make great points. I'll tell you, I grew up in Detroit. My dad was a Detroit police officer in Brightmoor. And the one thing I know, it was a very diverse area before I moved out into high school. But the one thing that sports did, like I might not go to school with some of the guys that were on the same block, but when we played sports, we played together. And that was something where I got to know the people on my block just because of that. And, you learn, hey, this is somebody we get along. And, those are some of my first interactions and, that I might not have had otherwise if I would have just stayed home and, wasn't, looking to, do whatever, play sports. And so that can help you. And like the message there was tonight, bridging the racial divide through sports. I think there is some value there. You guys, both had great answers there and you broke this one down. I think every single way you can. I said those were the last two questions, but you guys have any final points before we go into the night?
It was a great day for Michigan, man. 2-0, CJ. And it's always great to CJ, let me tell you, you're a young guy, but Michigan is Michigan, man. I'm telling you, I don't care. I've been out 35 years. I don't care where you are, who you are, when you played. We're teammates, man. We're brothers for life.
I love it. Got the largest living alumni section in the world. I mean, I go out there, I see a bunch of people wearing my Michigan stuff, get to go blue in different cities. Like you said, it's a really, really cool to go out there and support Michigan and going 2-0 today. And hopefully football can bring it home the next 2 weeks and looking forward to it.
It feels good. Hey, guys, it felt good talking with you. You guys did a great job, and thanks for coming on, CJ. Same thing with you, Scar. A little double header today, but we're 2-0, and that's the good part. We'll say 3-0, since you were on last week as well. So you'll be invited back anytime, CJ. You're always welcome as well. Take care, you guys. Have a great night. Thanks for joining us here on the TMBR postgame show.
Go Blue.
Go Blue.